Welcome to the NFL. Let's go! Let's go! Go!
Welcome in. Jeremy Popielarz here with you, as always, to discuss Week 10. Lineup decisions here, the start-sit show here on FTN Fantasy. Exciting day, all right? We're at halftime here in the overseas Berlin game. Exciting times. Alec Pierce going for a touchdown, always a plus, all right? Getting those late flexes, hitting a touchdown is always helpful. Gets those lineups rocking and rolling here on Sunday morning. And now we got to get through the rest of the Sunday and Monday slate. Either way, normal housekeeping. If you've been here before, it's pretty simple. You know it. If you haven't, questions can be dropped in the YouTube comments. I can pull those up on the screen. If you are on X and you're coming in from the FTN Fantasy page, go ahead, drop the questions in the comments. Those should be able to be pulled up. Either way, if you are and you catch it through the start-sit thread that is on my Twitter and you drop those questions in there, I will go ahead and answer them here live. I will not pull those up because I cannot. But either way, we'll go through and try to answer every question that I have, whether it's over here on this thread and or the other thread. We'll start in reverse order, obviously latest to first here. We'll go ahead and try and get all of your questions answered as soon as possible. Either way, also make sure you check out ftnfantasy.com. Who hosts the show. Check it out. Go over there. That's where you can get the rankings all day, any day of the week. For myself, Jeff Radcliffe, and Tyler Orginski. It's a good crew. Good crew. Not going to lie. Also, as well as all the content from us over there as well. Stats Hub, tons and tons and plurals of content, especially if you like stats. Stats Hub's a great thing. So check out FTN Fantasy. Always get those plugs out of the way. All right. Now let's get down to business, right? Start, sit questions. Hobby, how's it going? Good morning. Like I said, we already got a Sunday morning game. So some of our questions may have been answered already. Either way, let's roll through here. We're going to start early here with PJ Gallagher over on X, Darius Slayton, or Kyle Monungai. I'm going to go with Monungai here. A lot of people are in on the hot hand comments. Kind of just debunked a little bit of that earlier. I wouldn't say debunked because we don't know what's true or what's not true. But still think Swift is going to be involved probably more heavily than Monungai. I think we go back to what we saw prior to last week. I know Monungai popped off last week and was really good for many of us here in fantasy. But Swift is their guy. A little bit ahead of him. I'm sure we still see a split touch. Hot hand always means who's got the hot hand at the time in which the game is going. I think Swift will be fine. No, some concern there as well for the weather. I looked at it quick here. The hourly seems like maybe it won't be too bad, but could be bad as well. We'll see. Snow, obviously, always a fun one, and Monungai being on the ground, always better than the Slayton side of it, where you'll be passing a little bit heavier. Olave and Parker Washington, I will go with Washington. I know it's a tough matchup, but Jacoby Myers on a short week, a little bit more of a decoy in that offense. Really doesn't have a ton of playmakers. I guess you got ETN at this point, Tutton in the run game, but Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be out. Travis Hunter's out. Really looking at Washington, Diami Brown. And I think Brown should play outside. That should draw Stingley's coverage. So I'm going to go with Washington. And then he also has Ted or Parker Washington. I would go with Ted McMillan. I know the hamstring is a little bit of a concern for some people. Again, if he's playing and he's active, I'm going to trust the doctors to an extent. And I'm going to go with him a little bit softer matchup against New Orleans than it is for Parker Washington. Gowan on X, Nico Collins or Derrick Henry. I will go with Henry. I do like Nico Collins. Tough to trust him with Davis Mills, though, over CJ Stroud. Definitely gets a little dicey there. Hockey fan, Monungai, Metcalf, ETN, Kamara, rank them. Check the rankings out. At FTN Fantasy, no. I would say as listed. Pretty simple there. Let's see here. Hobby, Vidal, Kamara, or Marks. That's a tough situation there. I'm probably going to go Vidal. Don't like the matchup for any of them, not going to lie. Marks brings some intrigue with Davis Mills, maybe some more checkdowns. Jacksonville's matchup, though, is really tough. I don't don't love it. I think I'd go with Vidal, a little bit more of a lead role where volume could trump poor efficiency. So that's probably where I would go. Then as far as the quarterback goes, I'd go Herbert over Darnold. I don't mind Darnold in a spot start, but I think I'm going to go with Herbert there. Derek, I would go with Jackson Dart still over Stafford. I know there's some concern with the weather and everything. I like the rushing upside of Dart. I think Stafford has a solid day, low end quarterback 2 type of territory. But I would, or low end quarterback 1 territory, Derek. But I do like Jackson Dart. I think the upside's still there. I know the snow and everybody's a little bit concerned about it, but I would ride with Dart there. So we got Dano on X, Debo, Tat, or Addison. I would go with Tat McMillan if he's active there. Again, concern for the hamstring. I get it. But I don't love Debo against Detroit with Mariota. And Addison's iffy with McCarthy. It should see Baltimore getting a little bit healthier. That makes me a little more concerned on the defensive side of it. Krosky Merritt or Ray Davis in a standard league. I would have to go Krosky Merritt. Don't like the matchup again for him against Detroit. I know there was some concern there with James Cook, but he's active. He's going to play. Davis may see some time, but if this game ends up at all close, Davis will be irrelevant. So I will go with Krosky Merritt there. We got Jack on X, David Montgomery or Monungai. I would go Monungai there. We've got Amanda on X, Monungai, Parker, Washington, or Fannin. I would go Monungai again. Let's see here. Next is Seymour Butts on X, Schultz or Otten. I would go with Kate Otten. Running out of playmakers there in Tampa Bay makes it pretty simple to see where they're going. You're also facing a New England defense that's pretty stout on the perimeter. So yeah, it's where I would ride is there. Spitz, Baker, or Goff. I would go with Baker Mayfield there for you, Spitz. Ben, Diggs, Rome, or Olave. I would go with Stephon Diggs. Good matchup against Tampa Bay, and right now New England's hot. Can't avoid that. Hobby, need one for flex. DJ Moore, Debo Samuel, or Gadsden. I would go with Gadsden there, Hobby. I like the spot for him against Pittsburgh. Little weaker against tight ends. Likely scores a touchdown. So that is where I'm at with him. Jose Estrada on X, starting out tight ends, Loveland or Hawkinson. I would go with Loveland there. Christina Walters on X, Debo, Washington or Moore at flex. I think I'm gonna go Washington there for you, Christina. Kenneth, best streaming option at quarterback, rolling with McCarthy. No, I'd play McCarthy. I like McCarthy today. I know that, like I said, the defense should be interesting to see here with Baltimore. They're finally healthy. Makes a big difference. But I still like McCarthy. They've been pretty weak against the pass. I think that's a good spot for him. Usually in the streaming options as well, Kenneth, not too many out there at this point in time, especially with the quarterback injuries and the lack of, the need of multiple streaming options for prior weeks. Devonta Smith, what? Full PPR, AJ Brown, Swift or Montgomery, or Swift or Monungai. I would go AJ Brown. Yo, Devonta Smith, you should know that, bro. I gotta love it. Michael Dolan on X, Marvin Harrison Jr. or Romo Dunze. I'm gonna go with Marvin Harrison Jr. I know it's a little bit of a tough matchup against Seattle, but I still think he can be solid. We've seen Romo Dunze just disappear. Maybe this is the week he gets back involved against the Giants. But I still think Marvin Harrison's in for a decent wide receiver 2 day there in Arizona. I think they'll still focalize on him a little bit. Hobby Waddle, Moore, or Debo for wide receiver 2. I'm probably going Jalen Waddle. Don't love the spot against the Bills. They usually do create quite the fit for Tua in that Dolphins offense. But I don't love either of the other two either. So I would probably go with Waddle, highest upside out of that grouping there. Taylor Barnes on X, May or Hurts, Vidal or Hall. So I will go with Drake May. I like the spot against Tampa Bay. And I'm going with Breece Hall. I know it's a tough matchup, but I think it's another one of those cases with kind of like Vidal or Rashad White today, where the volume kind of outweighs the matchup a little bit. So I'm going to go with that still with Breece Hall. Not many options there in that Jets passing attack left now that they're all gone. So a bunch of letters. It looks like Luke Kerr on X, Romo Dunze, Tet, or Travion Henderson. Need a wide receiver 2 and flex. So I would go Dunze and Henderson. Amanda Parrin on X, Jacoby Myers, Charbonnet, Douglas, or Fannin at flex PPR, or Fannin at tight end over Andrews. So I would go with Andrews against Minnesota. And then I would actually just do Fannin at flex for you, Amanda. I'm hungry. Juwan Johnson, Devin Singletary, or Chris Rodriguez would be Juwan Johnson. Like the spot for him against Carolina today. Jack Bauer, Hawkinson, or Aaron Jones. It would be Aaron Jones if he does play, which I do think he is going to at some point. We'll find that out here in the coming minutes once the inactives come out. Joe, you're going to love this one. Maybe I will, Joe. Probably will. Always love a question. Dynasty start 11, desperate flex, Dulcich, Mechie, Noel, Terrell, Jennings. It's not that desperate. I mean, Jennings scored a touchdown last week. And that's where I'm going. I'm going to go Terrell Jennings. Don't like Dulcich against the Bills again. Miami plus Buffalo, not great here in recent years. Jennings, like I said, he scored a touchdown last week. It's a good matchup on the ground against Tampa Bay for New England. And they obviously don't really love Travion Henderson. So I'll go with Terrell Jennings. Good chance he squeaks into the end zone again this week, Joe. What's up, Gil? Welcome back. Always love the good times there with Gil. Monungai or Aaron Jones. So I will go Aaron Jones if he's active. That's what we're going to watch for here in probably 20-ish type of minutes. If he's active, I'm playing Aaron Jones over Monungai. If he's not, obviously, then decision made, Gil. But that's where I lean right now is Aaron Jones. Morning, David. How's it going? The Adam Scheffner of the stream is in. David likes to break the news for us, which I much appreciate, by the way. Means I don't have to pop off my screen. Jay Driz, Parker Washington, or Tet McMillan. I will go Tet McMillan there. Michael Johnson on X, Kamani Vidal, or Travion Henderson. I will go Henderson there for you, Michael. Jet Monungai or Tracy Jr. I will go Tracy there, Jet. Mike Derna on X, Henderson or Vidal. I will go Henderson. Hio Victor Sales, Flex, Monungai, Woody, Marks, Dallas Goddard, or Tez Johnson. I'll go Monungai. I do like Goddard. Interesting in there, but I think we'll go with Monungai for that one. Tender B, Jamison Williams or Keenan Allen. I will go Jamison Williams. Carlos, what's up? PPR at wide receiver, start Tet with a tender hammy or Tez. I'm probably playing Tet McMillan. Mentioned it a little bit earlier. If he's playing, like, it's hard to avoid that situation. It's a good matchup against New Orleans, and I feel like we'll get enough out of him. Tez Johnson is intriguing, but I don't like the matchup necessarily against New England there ish. So I'm going to go ahead and ride with Tet McMillan there, Carlos. Yeah, Bijan's, been killing me the last 3 weeks. I'm in a couple leagues, and he gets a lot of touches, just never gets that end zone. Like the Tyler Algier touchdown today, David. Killing me. Just killing me. Just killing me. Killing me. Fantasy in a nutshell. And yes, David, yeah, I think Jones will end up playing. And he's going to be a strong start for anybody wondering there with Aaron Jones. Mando, Shaheed, or Charbonnet. I'll go with Charbonnet. They may want to get Rashid Shaheed involved, but I can't imagine that his playbook is much bigger than go routes. Not really. Wide receiver is pretty easy to make that transition on a fairly short week. It's not an overly complicated offense. So I do think that we could see some decent stuff out of Rashid Shaheed, but I still lean to Charbonnet, a little bit safer as far as what we got going on here in Seattle. Another league, half PPR, pick 2, start Singletary, Schultz, Ertz, or Hunter Henry. Let's see here. So probably Dalton Schultz, like the spot for him. Well, I lied. Ignore me, Joe. I forgot about the last two. Hunter Henry and no, actually I go Dalton Schultz. I lied. Hunter Henry and Dalton Schultz. I like the spot against Jacksonville, dump off kind of territory there for Davis Mills. And then Hunter Henry, again, Tampa Bay, it's a leaky defense in general against the pass. And right now, New England's riding hot. I think Henry could easily find the end zone today there for that New England offense. Clark Kent, K-Dot, and Tez Johnson, Parker Washington. I'm probably going to go Parker Washington here. Tough matchup against the Houston defense. Hopefully Diami Brown being on the outside kind of draws some of Stingley, maybe Parker Washington, although a tough matchup. It gets a little bit better of a matchup, kind of a PPR play there with Parker Washington with limited options to be thrown to there in the Jacksonville offense for today. Jacob Borman on X, Superflex pick 2, Tez, Aaron Jones, Tracy, Loveland, Kamara, Myers, Hunter Henry. So Aaron Jones is 1, and then I would probably go probably Hunter Henry there, Jacob. Santos Frias Jr. on X, Gaddison or Swift. I will take DeAndre Swift. Paul G. Romo on X, Henderson Monungai would be Henderson. Jennings or Washington, I would go with Jennings. Scotty, PPR Flex, Tet, Jawan Jennings, Tyrone Tracy. I'll take Jennings there. I like Jennings today against the Rams. Should be a focal point that kind of has become the focal point over Kendrick Bourne since coming back. Troy on X, AK Bateman or Christian Watson. I'll take Bateman on a deep shot touchdown. So we'll call it there with Rashad Bateman. Sim 1 on X, Henderson or Vidal would be Henderson. MSK. Ooh, that's rough. Ja'Cory Croskett or Bam Knight. I would probably go Croskett Merritt. Don't love either of these guys. Both really tough matchups. Both kind of seem like they're going to have some involvement from other running backs in their room. But I go with, I guess, Croskett Merritt. Maybe the best chance to have something happen positively for him. David, how involved do you think Kincaid will be this week? Feel likely they won't need to rely on him as much. Would you start him over QJ, Ted, Marvin Harrison, or Addison? Also, Aaron Jones over any of them. So Quentin Johnson, Ted, and Addison, 100% for sure. Marvin Harrison Jr. gets a little closer, but I still like Kincaid today. Likely scores. Had a good day against Miami in their first matchup historically does well against Miami. I do think that that's where the Bills will attack. Kincaid's kind of the cog in that offense. We saw it again last week. Get them going, and that's kind of where that offense really starts to hum, especially considering Cook kind of nursing a little bit of an injury. I think you see Kincaid, probably some Shakir, Coleman, stuff like that. So I do think that Kincaid probably has a fairly big day. I wouldn't say I'd probably start him over all those guys, to be honest. And then Aaron Jones, I would start over also most of those guys outside of maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. Packers wide receiver, Golden, Heath, or Wicks or Naylor. I would have to pick up Wicks and Heath for this to work. I'd start Jalen Naylor. I like the spot kind of against Baltimore. He's kind of a sneaky-ish type of mid-level play. I like him better than Heath and Wicks. Golden, it would be interesting. But I feel like Naylor, a little bit more involved there, Gil. Teddy Ball game, Dalton Schultz or Hunter Henry would be Henry. For me, Jared F. need 2 full in PPR, Vidal, Henderson, or Monty. I would do Hendo and Monty there. Hail State, pick one, ETN, Montgomery, or Monungai. I'd go ETN there. I'm not pounding the table for ETN by any means, but over those guys, I would go there. Ari, DJ Moore, Parker, Washington. I would do Washington. Streck 27, Rico or Judkins in half PPR. I would go Rico. That's a embarrassment of riches there for you. MSK start 2, DK, Quentin Johnson, Henderson, or Dubes. Ooh, that's a good grouping there. I'd go Romeo Dubes and Travion Henderson. MSK there. Joe, Mariota versus Alliance or Mills versus. Ooh, ouch, rough. Mariota. Yeah, I'll go Mariota there. Both tough matchups, but I trust Mariota a little more than Davis Mills. At least you got some rushing upside in there. Esteban Mandar, Olave, or A.J. Brown. I will go with A.J. Brown. Kevin Monungai or DJ Moore. That one I will go Monungai. And then Tet over Tracy or Coleman. I would play Tet McMillan. Bart, Jordan, Brees Hall, Aaron Jones. I will go with Brees Hall. I know it's a tough matchup, but I trust it. I trust him. I think we get it done there with Brees Hall today. Mully in PPR League need 1, Juwan Jennings, Tracy, Colson, Loveland. I will go Jennings there. Lloyd Bryam, Jordan Love, or Mac Jones. I would go Jordan Love. I know it hasn't been great, but I think we could have a decent day from Love today. Mike Wheeler, Love, or Aaron Rodgers. I would go with Jordan Love. Jordan Morales on X. Monungai, DeMercado, or Kamara. I would go Monungai. Let's see here. Smooth Biz, Bill or Charbonnet. Already starting Walker. Uncommon Demore, Debo, Henderson, Rome start 2. Would be Rome and Hendo. Ty Ross, Henry, or Goddard. I will take Goddard there. Rogers and Caleb. I have Penix and London stack, but Penix at 6 points. Okay. Ty Ross, Marks, Hubbard, or Singletary. I guess we'll go with Woody Marks there. Don't love the spot, Ty, but best of the worst, we'll say. All right. Fantasy Dad, 2 flex spots. PPR, Addison, Monungai, Montgomery, or Shaheed. I will go Monungai as 1. And I would probably go Monty as the other one there. Burt McGirt on X. Who am I starting at wide receiver 3? Jameson, Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen. I will go with Keenan Allen. Let's see here. KG presence have to start too. ETN, Vidal, Manungai, K9. So K9 and ETN for me. I like the spots for those two guys. Daniel Jones sucks again. David, it was only a matter of time. Let's be honest. I mean, he was completing like 70% of his passes. Regression was only a matter of time. But also, we got to remember, David, Atlanta's defense is very good. They don't get enough credit. Let's be honest. I was kind of expecting. I was a little lower on Daniel Jones today than most people. Gil, yeah, hey, look at that. The two Daniel Jonesers back to back. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he's fully back. I think he's still better than what we've seen from Daniel Jones, but it was only a matter of time, guys. It was like quarterbacks aren't always that efficient for that long, so it's only a matter of time. He'll be okay. But yeah, I wouldn't expect Daniel Jones to be the 70% completion percentage, tearing up the league type of quarterback for eternity. But yes, not fully back. We'll go with the median ground there, Gil and David. Loveland or Fannin. I would go with Fannin there for you, Gil. David, who's the bench out of Tet, Addison, QJ, and between Jones and Kincaid? Who's the start? Why can't I think of the Jones? Oh, Aaron Jones. Oh, okay, got duh. Bench Addison. I would bench Quentin Johnston personally, and then if you only got one player, I'm probably going Aaron Jones just because I think his upside's higher. Like Kincaid's like a good tight end start, but I think total point wise, I think Jones probably beats Kincaid today. Tracy, Charbonnet, Watson need one. I would go Tyrone Tracy. I know it was a rough go last week, but I think he could have a bounce back against Chicago today. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. DeForest Bunker's gonna hurt them. Missing him is gonna be huge for their pass defense and rush defense, David. But yeah, feeding Jonathan Taylor is never a bad thing. Makes sense. That's how you get most offenses going, right? The run game. Ben on X, Otten over Fannin this week would be a yes for me, Ben. Pick 1.5 PPR, Tet, Travion Henderson, Johnson, or Manungai. That would be Henderson for you, Jim Jeffries. Fantasy football guy. You like Otten or Loveland today, non-PPR, and Panthers or Browns for defense. I would go Cade Otten there, and I would go Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Ooh, cough. Jacob, full PPR, pick 2. Shakir, Jennings, or Washington. I will go Jennings and Washington. Oh, no, no, no. Her. David, yes, I do think Jones is a higher ceiling than Quentin Johnson. 100%. Darnold or Caleb Williams for R. McKitty. I would go Caleb Williams there. I know the weather is getting a little concerning for a lot of people, but I still like Caleb Williams today. I'm not too worried. Doesn't mean anything for me, David. Josh Palmer, love him. Got it. Doesn't do much. Still think Jones has a higher ceiling than Dalton Kincaid. Like I said, Kincaid likely scores. I think he probably hits double-digit fantasy points. I just don't think, like Aaron Jones against Baltimore's rush defense, it's a little suspect in a game that's likely a little bit closer. Feels like, the dump offs, etc. I'm kind of in on Aaron Jones today as a potential, like, almost 20-point type of performance there could be in store for Aaron Jones. So, what's up, Puda Mike? Need two to start: Tracy, White, Aaron Jones, and Bill. Also Baker or Williams. Pretty easy. We just talked about it. Aaron Jones. I like the spot for him if he plays. I think there's a chance. You see that high double-digit type of fantasy production out of Aaron Jones. So I'm in on him. I also like Rachaad White. I do. I know it's a tough matchup against New England, but I think volume will kind of outweigh the tough matchup. Likely scores. New England a little sus against the receiving backs, which we all know Rachaad White can do very effectively. So I'm in on that, and I will take Baker over Williams. I think that little self-bias of wanting the New England Patriots to lose for the Bills' benefit. But no, I do think Baker has a decent day against New England's defense today. So little big man, pick 2 out of ETN, Swift, Monangai, White, Walker. Ooh, that's a tough grouping right there. Rachaad White would be 1 for me, and then I'm going to go with Swift. I'll go Swift. Rachaad White and DeAndre Swift. They're all really close in rankings for me, all like 15 through 20, right in that territory. But I like Swift today. I think that he has a pretty strong day against this Giants defense. So I will go with Rachaad White and DeAndre Swift. Superpower. Yeah, I mean, I like Jacoby Myers. Like, I'm not pounding the table for Jacoby Myers. I just think short week. They already mentioned he's going to play out on the perimeter instead of in the slot because of the short week. So not loving it. Tough matchup against Houston as well. So I'm not trying to force him into my lineup skill. Philly O'Houlihan, 1 running back, 1 flex from ETN, Montgomery, Tracy, and Shaheed. So I would go ETN, and then my flex would be Montgomery. Again, it's too short of a week for me to plug in Rashid Shaheed. There's a chance he hits a deep touchdown. Yes, 100%. But I don't like to play chances of like low volume necessarily when making some of these decisions. So I would say that I would ride with Rashid Shaheed. I would not ride with Rashid Shaheed. Tyrone Tracy, a little scary. Meh. Montgomery feels safe to probably score against Washington this week. Travis Etienne, they're going to have somebody touch the football, and it may be more Etienne than anybody just because of the matchup against the Houston defense. So I'm riding Etienne and David Montgomery there for you, Philly. Let's see here. Back to the X machine. Tony, good morning. How's it going? Who we starting, Coker or Kamara? And it's sad that we're here, but we're gonna go with Jalen Coker. Let's ride it. Ted little banged up. Everybody's a little worried about Ted. Maybe Coker's day against New Orleans. Also Kamara. Yeah, let's just not full nails in the coffin, but let's be honest. It ain't happening for Alvin Kamara so far this year. Likely continues to struggle. Carolina's defense, stuff. It ain't easy. Not gonna be easy sledding for Kamara today. Henry need 2 of these 3: Parker Washington, Jameson Williams, Tet McMillan. I will go with Tet and Washington. There. No diggity doubt with the weather. Factor in the Bears-Giants game. Flex Odunze or Kincaid. I think if you're really worried, about the weather, this is how you're going to play the game. You either care about weather or you don't. I don't think the weather's going to be uber atrocious in that game. I kind of looked like per day. It seems like it's more like late in the day that you're looking at the weather being an issue there in Chicago. So I don't think at the 1:00 kickoff time frame like that we're gonna have a ton of issues with the weather. But again, Kincaid, I talked about it. I think he's a safe play this week in Kincaid. Likely scores, low double-digit type of potential there. Could have a huge upside, I guess, if he scores 2 touchdowns. Unlikely. But I do think that he at least scores once. So I think it's a safe play. And obviously, Odunze has been kind of just irrelevant post-bye. So I would be fine rolling with Kincaid if you're really worried about the weather. For me, I'm not overly worried. So I'm riding. I'm still starting my guys in like Dart, Wandell Robinson, Odunze. I think is a solid play. I think Caleb Williams is still a solid play. Again, until the weather's like atrocious and you have like, what the Bills Colts game a few years back where you're getting like 10 feet of snow in an hour, that's where you start to have to worry. This to me, from what I've seen, I think that it's less of a factor than what we're making it out to be. There's a good chance we don't even see snow. I think they saw 39 or 37 is the high kind of during the game. So not overly worried there in Chicago personally, but not everybody's that way, I guess, if you really care. I think Kincaid's a solid pick off of Odunze for the safety factor there. Good morning, James. How are you doing? Half PPR, need 2 for flex. Ken Walker, Henderson, Tez Johnson, Parker Washington, Chris Rodriguez, and Theo Johnson. So Henderson would be 1, and I'm probably rolling Ken Walker. Like those 2 decent matchups, 2 top 20 running backs for me in my rankings. Tez Johnson's intriguing. Parker Washington's intriguing this week, but I'm not starting him over the 2 kind of what feel like safer, high upside type of players, Ken Walker and Travion Henderson. Ryan Bader, Waddle, or Odunze. I'm going to ride Odunze. Again, I don't like Jalen Waddle this week. Bills typically major fits for this Miami offense. We saw it even in their first matchup. There's a chance Waddle scores, which would help him. But I still like Odunze. I know the weather, again, just talked about it in some extent there. So I still like Odunze a little bit more than that. Andrew B, Cade Otton, or Fannin. I do like Fannin. I want to see what it's like if Tillman does play. Actually, I should check that. It should be out, right? Inactive list. Let's see here. Oh, Cleveland. Yeah. So I think we got some Cedric Tillman today. So I'm curious to see how that works out there. So yeah, I will stay with Cade Otton. Fannin also is obviously nursing a little bit of an injury there. Grant Ellison, Dart, or Hurts. I'll go with Jackson Dart. I still like the spot for him. I mean, good matchup. Rushing upside, even if the weather's a little bad. So yeah, I'm going to ride with that. Jalen Hurts just hasn't been Jalen Hurts of the past. Tush pushes, end zones, them scoring touchdowns. The Eagles, Eagles fans would agree. So yeah, I'm not there with him yet. I will take the upside of Jackson Dart. Hendricks, Magley, Dobbs, Johnston, or Henderson. I'll go with Dubes there. I like the spot against Philly. Likely a little bit of a back and forth ish type of game. You like those games for fantasy points. Yeah, I'm in on it there. David, Woody, or Walker. Pretty easy. Ken Walker for me. Woody Mark's not a good matchup against Jacksonville's defense at all. So I'm in on Ken Walker. I think it's a real dark James. That feels. I don't know who was talking about him as a potential tight end 1. I mean, Taysom Hill. He's always like a potential tight end 1 when he plays. He's tight end 1, running back 1, quarterback 1. He just does everything. When you can do everything, it's always appealing to fantasy. Good chance it's a very good matchup against Carolina. Typically, they are not very good against tight ends. It feels like they're more not so good against traditional tight ends in that Juwan Johnson's probably the benefactor there. More so than Taysom Hill would be. So depending on who you have, maybe he's worth the dart throw, but it's definitely 100% a dart throw. For sure. I agree with you. Dart throw there. But there could be worse decisions out there. There's probably a worse start than Taysom Hill. So Justin, Rashad White, or Travion Henderson. I'm going Rashad White. It's a tough matchup. But the Patriots do kind of struggle a little bit against the pass when it comes to running backs. So I think that that's where you could see him do his damage. Again, Tampa Bay is looking for playmakers at this point. Can't keep many of them healthy at the moment. So yeah, I'm still in on it. No Bucky Irving. You're going to see some Sean Tucker, but I think Rashad White's volume ultimately outweighs it. Likely does find the end zone, and hopefully, what is a good game today. I'm excited for that game. Michael Duckman on X, Travion Henderson, Monungai, Jamison Williams in the flex. I will go with Henderson. Just as good as I like the matchup a little bit for Rashad White, I like it for Henderson as well. I mean, this Tampa Bay defense has been a little leaky to running back position, and so I'm in on it. I like that spot for him today. Hopefully, he can get in the end zone. If not, it'll be Terrell Jennings stealing those touchdown shares for us. And hopefully, I've mentioned Terrell Jennings to a couple people, so I wouldn't hate it. Wouldn't hate it at all. Holmes and Watson need 2 running back and a flex from the following: Elvin Kamara, Woody Marks, Jordan Mason, Christian Watson, Jacoby Myers, and Cedric Tillman. That is a rough one, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I will go Mason in the hopes he scores a touchdown, and I guess Woody Marks, and then my flex would be Christian Watson. Matt Bly need a tight end and 2 flexes out of Abuka, Diggs, Laporta, Kittle, and Goddard. So I will go Kittle and then Abuka and Diggs. Jeff Pesos, Rome, or Tet. I will go with Romo Dunze there. Edmund J. Bly, Kincaid, or Gadsden. I'm going to go with Kincaid. It's not it's not on par with the rest of the world, but I will go with Dalton Kincaid. I think it's a good day for him. And then Rashad White or Kenneth Walker would be Rashad White. Drone videographer on X. Start Loveland, Njoku, or Henry as my tight end. Feel free to call out anything else of interest. Let's see here. So we got Loveland, Jacobs, Addison, Warren, Monungai. So he has Hurts in the lineup. I'd play Dart over Hurts, and then Henry at tight end. Almost, David. They learned the math, though. Just give the ball to Jonathan Taylor. Apparently. A little bit more patience, and they may have had that first down there. But either way, David, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Marks, Quentin Johnson, Myers, Charbonnet, Loveland, or 1 of Arizona's running backs. Do not play Arizona's running backs, David. I'd take Charbonnet. Could score a touchdown. It's kind of what you're hoping for, I guess, from Charbonnet. But that's what you're hoping for from most of those people. So I'm in on it. Will Tutton or Sampson? I'll go Tutton. Judkins seems healthy. I ain't messing with Dylan Sampson at all. Daniel A, Debo Samuel, or Jennings. I will go with Jawan Jennings there. A little bit of a tough matchup against the Rams, but that's usually a good game. I think that we saw Kendrick Bourne go for a big day against them just a few weeks back, and Jennings kind of taking over that main role. So I like the spot for Jennings this week. Morgan Giles, Wandell Robinson, Kyle Monungai, Rashad White at flex. I will take White there for you, Morgan. Good spot, I think, there for him again. I talked about it. It's a tough matchup, but I do think that somewhatly the volume will overtake that tough matchup. Adam Banks, Monungai, or Hunter Henry in flex. I'll go Henry. No, I'll go Monungai. Hard to go with a tight end over a running back, even in a split touch backfield. So Yeah, I mean that's your path, David, right there. 100%. Like if you get the dump offs from Davis Mills and I'm just trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly, good chance that Marks has a decent day. I would probably I'd probably play Quentin Johnson over Myers. I think it's coin flip there, to be honest. Um Oh, sorry, I missed your question. Yeah, so Charbonnet would be the flex, and then your wide receiver, I'd probably play Quentin Johnston over Jacoby Myers. Carl Swift or White. I will go actually with DeAndre Swift there. Brandon Thomas, full PPR, Fannin, Andrews, or Henry at tight end. I would go with Mark Andrews. And then Tet McMillan, Shakir, or Monty at flex. I will go with Tet. John Kittle, Kincaid, or Goddard. I would go with George Kittle. One last question from Smooth Biz. Choose to ETN, Vidal, or Monty. Would be ETN and David Montgomery. Christian Stones, ETN or Rashad White. I will take Rashad White. Javier Vasquez, Tet McMillan, or Garrett Wilson. I will take Wilson. Hoping for a vintage Garrett Wilson game, aka pretty much no points, then scores touchdown and gets us like 20 points in garbage time. Trent has the question of the new receivers, Jacoby Myers or Rashid Shaheed. I will take Jacoby Myers. PPR volume based. I think he just sees a little bit more volume than Shaheed does here in week 1. Ponto, tight end starter, Musgrave, Higbee, Likely, Smith, Barner. I would go with Jonnu Smith there. Chabulin, Aaron Jones, or Dallas Goddard. I would go with Aaron Jones. Touchdown only scorers, non PPRs for Billy Slavin, AJ Brown, or Devontae Smith. I will go with AJ Brown. Feels more likely to score. To me. TR Fannin or Theo Johnson. I will go with Fannin there. Let's see here. Matt Johnson, Devin Singletary, or Kamara. As ugly as it is, I would go with Alvin Kamara. Donovan Chan, Tet or Addison. I will go with Tet McMillan there for you, Donovan Chan. Manungai or Gaddison. I would go Gaddison. David Cunningham. Should I start Vidal, Henderson, or Swift this week? I would go with DeAndre Swift, not David Swift. Jeez. What am I thinking over here? Eric, Rashad White, or Manungai would be Rashad White. Lewis Borgman, 2 running backs and a flex. Manungai, Mason, Rashad White, and Woody Marks. So the running backs would be White and Manungai there. The flex then would be between Flowers, Jennings, Olave. Yeah, that's Flowers. 100%. Like the spot here for Flowers today against Minnesota. See any other inactives that we care a lot about? Christian Benford, that's tough. Teron Johnson, not good either. Let's see here. Nothing. Keishon Butte, Stevenson, knew about. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, no Adonai Mitchell today. Not a surprise. Short week. Not surprised at all that we're not going to see Adonai Mitchell. I wouldn't also get too excited about Adonai Mitchell. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Let's see here. Let's just clean those up a little bit. Alrighty here. Billy on X, Parker Washington or Christian Watson. I'll go Washington, and then Gadsden or Kamani Vidal would be Gadsden. For me, Winston, Manungai, Moore, or T-Mac. Ooh, I guess we'll go Manungai there. We'll go T-Mac. We'll go with Ted. We'll trust the ham. He's good. We're going to trust it. We're going to ride with it. We'll trust it. That's all we can do. Trust. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see here. Mike Shapiro on X. Caleb or Sam? I'll go Caleb Williams. Again, I'm not overly worried about the weather. Some people may be. I'm not, I ain't a weatherman. I don't know. No, I looked at it. I don't think that I think that it's being a little bit over broadcasted as far as the weather goes there. In Chicago, it seems like it's likely going to be decent for the game time. So I'm fine. I'm riding Caleb against the Giants. I like the spot for him. With that, I like Odunze to an extent, so I'll take him over Johnson for Joel Gomez. Montgomery or Mungungai, I will go with Monty. Johnson or Mungungai for flex. I will go Mungungai there. And then Kincaid or Fannin at tight end would be Kincaid for you, Joel. Tet or Christian Watson. I would still ride Tet, even though it's got the hammy issue. Again, I still like the spot for him if he's playing. Christian Watson, it seems solid here in the first couple weeks, but always has been kind of a boomer bust type of player, so not loving that. KVO 522 on X. Need one running back in a flex and a super flex. Running backs Jones, Mason, Marks, Walker, Munungai. Wide receivers Addison, and then Brissett or McCarthy. So one running back would be Jones, and then flex would be Walker, and then McCarthy would be the super flex there for you, KV. Dustin J, would you start Harold Fannin over Jones today? No. I also don't know what Jones we're talking about. For some reason, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Bum, 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 bum. Mike Rogers, Terrell Jennings, or Elvin Kamara at flex. I'm going to go Jennings, as gross as it sounds, and then Theo Johnson or Fannin. That I would go with Fannin. Let's see here. Carter, Loveland, Otten, or Fannin. I would go with Cade Otten there, and then 2 is Ken Walker, Woody Marks, or Manungai. That one is Ken Walker for me. I like the spot against Arizona. I do. They definitely heard you, David. They're in on it. Either that or they just saw it and they go, "Oh yeah." I think everybody agrees with you, David. More Jonathan Taylor is the answer, especially against Atlanta's defense. They're an aggressive defense, a fast defense, and one way to slow them down is running the football directly in their face, which is what they're doing. So, but David, I agree. I think they heard you. Richard Don Winslow on X PPR Judkins or Garrett Wilson would be Quinshawn Judkins for me. Let's see here. No diggity, no doubt. Whether a factor, Bears game, Odunze or Kincaid. Oh, okay, so we got this one already. Done on Thursday Night Football. Would you take a 0 in the wide receivers 3 slot or drop any of these guys and pick up someone like Slayton, Washington, or Kirk? Let's see here. I would Brad Eldridge. Let me pick DK Parker, Washington. I don't know if I got these questions. Let me see here. Let's just double check. I want to make sure that I didn't miss any of you guys. Rolling back here. Yeah, I don't remember seeing this question. That's weird. DK Parker, Washington, Tez Johnson would be DK for you, Brad. Eric Ross, Fannin, or Watson. Yeah, I would go Christian Watson. Sure. Kirk, Kenneth Walker, or Monungai would be Kenneth Walker. Eric Greco, Tet, or AJ Brown. I would ride with AJ Brown. Crypto Marshy, Terrell Jennings, Bam Knight, or Chris Rodriguez. I would go Jennings there. Kincaid or Hunter Henry for Chris would be Dalton Kincaid. Oscar, no, I don't. Let me just, Oscar, before I totally answer this. I checked it this morning, and it doesn't seem like. Still check here. So, from what I gather, looking at this roughly, 11 a.m., nothing, 0, 5, all the way up till 5 p.m., it's a 5% chance of precipitation today, above freezing for most of the game. Again, the snow and stuff, from what I've noticed, is supposed to come later in the day. So, I'm not worried. I am playing Caleb Williams 100%. And again, that's quick weather on the Google. I'm not a weatherman, but from what I gather, from what I can see and find, it seems like it's going to be later in the day, more so than at kickoff here for the Bears-Giants game. Theo Johnson or Jonnu Smith for tight end. For Gil, I would go Jonnu Smith and then pick up Terrell Jennings, Isaiah Davis for a spot start. I would go Jennings. Terrell Jennings. I'll take that. I think there's a chance. He scored last week. Good chance he could score again this week. Let's see here. Let's see here. Does he say which side? Okay, so we got Harrison, Collins, Liddell, Walker, Henry, Boswell, Carolina in. Scott, Mason, Coleman, Butte, Pollard, Bigsby, Davis. Let's see. R. Jones. What? The weather? Are you telling me the Google machine lies to me, Mr. Jones here? Let me check what you say. Oh, it does say it's snowing now. All right, if that's fair. I get it. But it does see look at the Google thing lied to me again. Now it says 5%. Yeah, I'm sure it's mushy, like Jones says here. I'm sure it's mushy. I'm sure it's a little meh. But as far as like heavy snowfall, you're there, local weather. Does it say isn't it supposed to be tonight? R. Jones. I think it's supposed to be tonight. Like it's not the worst. I mean, football's played in all weather, you know. I feel like most weather gets a little overblown. But I think it's still not enough to be like overly concerned. Like, do I think it's gonna be um the best conditions? No. But I also don't think it's the worst conditions to where you need to pivot off of guys that are significantly better for subpar. So no, I appreciate it, John. Hey, I will take the personal from that location's weather report over anything. Because it's the same thing here in Buffalo or anywhere, honestly. Like the national weather says something, and then you're like, well, whoa, weather here says completely different. So yeah, no, I appreciate it, Jones, and thank you. I appreciate you for kind words about the show. I tried my best. E-D sit one of Mason, Rashad White, or Charbonnet. That one is Jordan Mason. Dun, dun, dun. Bum, 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 bum. Let's see here. Muck the Fets, pick 2, Rashad White, Singletary, Jacoby Myers. I will go White and Myers. Luke, Garrett Wilson, Juwan Jennings, or Debo Samuel. I will go Wilson and Jennings. There. Alrighty. Okay. Questions seem like they are kind of winding down here. Let's hit this quick. Again, much like the beginning of the show, make sure you check out ftnfantasy.com. Greatly appreciated. Check it out. Get the rankings all the time. If you subscribe, you get channels, the Discord channels. You can always drop questions in there, pop in there, usually daily if possible. And then make sure you come back next week. Would appreciate it. Always fun. I will be here for week 11 as the fantasy season continues to trug along. And until the 1 p.m. kickoff, I will be answering questions on the Start Sit thread as much as I can. Got to head over. Yeah, and get those lineups set. But again, if you have questions, go ahead, drop them in the start sit thread all the way up to 1 p.m. kickoff. And until next week, much appreciated again. And thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Take care.